Hi there, and welcome back to Just One More Chapter with Emily. We've been reading through The Interpreter by Brooke Robinson, a story that follows Ravel Lee, a translator in London, as she does her translation work and attempts to adopt a little boy out of foster care, 6-year-old named Elliot. We also have a mystery character that we're trying to figure out who it must be. This character writes in italics and jumps in at various different times with giving us different information, and we were just given information in the last chapter that it's not who it appears to be. So still wondering if you have an idea who this character may be. Drop it in the comments. I'm curious to know what everybody's thought process is. We're currently on chapter 21, so if you haven't listened up until that point, I suggest you go back to my account and listen to the previous chapters. If you are up to date, and grab your coffee, settle in, and here we go with chapter 21 of The Interpreter. Adam Birch is in Belmarsh Prison, often referred to as the British version of Guantanamo Bay. On YouTube, I play a short documentary filmed by a journalist who was granted permission to stay there overnight, but 10 minutes in, I need to run to the bathroom to be sick. If Adam Birch is convicted, I could be responsible for banishing a man to that hellhole for the rest of his life. An innocent man. Adam Birch's DNA could have been transferred to Sandra. A neighbor placed him on the Eris' street on the day of the crime, and he was also recognized from the CCTV. But that street footage isn't very clear, and even if that was him near the Eris' house that day, it doesn't mean that he's also the shadowy figure on the other CCTV clip, the one taken from the Eris' back garden. As for the neighbor recognizing him on the street, eyewitnesses make mistakes. I've heard detectives say that first-hand accounts can derail the early days of an investigation because even when we're trying really hard, humans are so unreliable. Often we're simply not capable of accessing the truth. So much points to the heiress. She's the one with the motive to kill Sandra, and she had the opportunity. During a trial, the alibi could have made all the difference. Oh God, what have I done? The floor rushes up at me in a wave of vertigo. I am disgusted with myself, and I know my guilt won't help Adam Birch. I need to do something. I have to get this keyring to him, and then I have to get him out of prison. I look down at the face of his daughter, the spectacles, and the arsenal scarf. A keyring, but no key. A token of another life when he had a family, or simply somewhere at the end of the day he ought to be. Online, I search for the name of his solicitor or barrister. They're usually referenced in one media report or another. I find it. A news story of the BBC website quotes him as a man named Roger Lipman with an office on Wood Green High Street. It's after 10 o'clock at night. There's nothing I can do about it now. I'll mail the keyring first thing Monday morning. I think Adam is more likely to receive it if I send it to his solicitor rather than directly to the jail. In the morning, I'm groggy, and it takes a few minutes after waking to remember that after this weekend is half term. I'll need to come up with ideas to keep Elliot entertained and figure out how I'm going to balance work with him not being at school. We have toast with bananas and honey for breakfast. I try to rub the sticky spread from his arm, but somehow only smear it further. We dress and walk to the park nearest to our flat and spend half an hour passing a football to one another. The sky today is a determined gray, and even though it's Saturday, the park is deserted. My skills only extend to kicking the ball a dozen yards away, and so Elliot is quickly bored and ready to go back indoors. I tuck the ball under my arm and we wander to the local library to browse the children's section. We borrow one book about space and another about dogs, and I realize this is something else Elliot doesn't have, a pet. In the afternoon, I remember that the estate agent yesterday said that he worked on Saturdays, so I call him. I ask him if there has been any update to my Wembley application, even though it has been only 24 hours. If there's ever an occasion where I need to be pushy, this is it. Estate agents aren't allowed to charge application fees anymore, but I offer him £150 for an extra speedy credit check. I don't think it's actually possible to rush through the paperwork so quickly, but he agrees to pocket my money, and on Monday first thing I receive a formal acceptance and I don't ask any questions. But I phoned my current landlord and explained that a family emergency means we need to vacate within the next week. We are moving abroad, I say, and I cannot provide a forwarding address in case mail isn't the only thing he sends to our new home. He agrees to let me out of the contract with another 2 months' rent. I'll be going into my overdraft again. I call the local authority with our new address and begin the process of enrolling Elliot in a new school. Thank goodness this week is half term, so I have a bit of time to organize his new uniform and what else he might need. The estate agent says I can collect the keys tomorrow, so I book movers for Wednesday morning. In the meantime, I need to pack, try and earn some money, and somehow keep Elliot amused. I also need to see Marius Dorabek. I'll have one more conversation with him, and if I still think he's genuine and Adam Birch is innocent, then I'll have no choice but to do something about it. Elliot and I catch the train to Knightsbridge. We step into the covered walkway, and I take his hand as we approach the Polish man. Will my son be scared or upset to see Marius' possessions on the ground, to realize that some people are forced to live this way? That man, I say. I need to have a little conversation with this man, okay? I met him at work. He's really nice. Okay. We'll talk to him, and then we'll go have lunch somewhere. This afternoon, we'll go home. I'll do some packing for our new flat, and you've still got your library books to read. I search his face for approval. Sound all right? He shrugs. No school! It's just a holiday. Don't get used to it. I give his arm a playful nudge. We walk the rest of the way to Marius, who stands to greet us. He looks drained. How could anyone live here, sleep here, ever snatch a moment of peace among the roar of traffic, both vehicle and human? Hi again, I say in Polish. This is my son, Elliot. I repeat it in English so that my boy understands. Hello there, Marius says in English, extending his hand for Elliot to shake, which he does with enthusiasm. Elliot is always delighted when people treat him like an adult. I am going to speak to Marius in Polish for a bit, I tell him. He nods and accepts my phone to keep him occupied. This time I'm not just walking past coincidentally. I have come here to see you, I say to Marius. All right, I still have your friend's keyring with the photograph of his daughter, I tell him, extracting it from my handbag. I wanted to let you know that I'm mailing it today. I'll send it to Adam Birch's solicitor. I'm sure the solicitor will get it to him. Okay, thank you. All I see is a smile. Well, that's it. Sorry I didn't send it sooner. Marius grins at Elliot. What am I looking for? Any sign that this man could possibly be a liar? One last chance to convince myself that I've done nothing wrong, but I'm not going to get it. Okay, say bye, Elliot, before my son can speak. You know where Adam's solicitor is? Marius says. Wood Green. I looked it up. Could we go there? It's an office. I think anyone can walk in. Then I realize what Marius is really asking me. I'd like to speak to them, he says. I'd be happy to get you there, I say, pay for transport. I'd need an interpreter. I cannot be seen with Marius Dorabek, especially not in front of Adam Birch's solicitor. It's too risky. I need to go. I'm moving, and inside I cringe. Of all the excuses to employ, why would I say that I was moving in front of a homeless person? My son is changing schools. I can find you an interpreter. I take out my phone and open the Exia app. I'll pay for it, of course. No, don't worry. I wanted to make sure the solicitor knows that Adam is innocent. This man is telling me the truth. It's no problem. My finger veers wildly across the phone screen. I'll find you one. I owe him. I have to help. It's okay. He brushes my arm, giving me permission to stop swiping. The solicitor probably won't pay attention to what I say anyway. But it's worth a try. If I take Marius to meet the solicitor, it might become apparent how I can help Adam. If I don't meet this solicitor, how else am I going to make amends? Let's go. I'll come with you. We move to the main road, and the three of us climb into an Uber. The office window of Roger Lippman and Associates are crusted with decades of filth, the door peeling and shaky, with stairs leading up and over the gloomy betting shop below. Barristers complain about the savage cuts to legal aid that came in the wake of the 2008 financial crisis and have kept coming. It's a favorite topic of conversation in the courthouse corridors, the stuff of safe small talk between warring counsel waiting for their cases to be called. Then there's the barrister strikes. Legal aid is hemorrhaging competent solicitors for the financial security of private practice, especially in London. If the cuts are as bad as they make it sound, you have to wonder about the caliber of those who stayed behind. How much active investigating and evidence gathering can Roger Lippman and Associates possibly be doing on Adam Birch's behalf? Elliot is beside me as we take the stairs, Marius following behind. Do you have an appointment? Asks a woman on the front desk. I show her the keyring. This photograph belongs to Adam Birch, a client of Roger Lippman, I said. It's a possession which is really important to him, and we'd appreciate it if we could get it to Adam when they next meet. The woman looks at the keyring but doesn't take it. I rest it behind her computer monitor next to a mug of pens. She looks at me, and then Elliot. Do you think you could do that for us? Adam Birch, you said? Yes. I will give it to Mr. Lippman. She has lost interest and resumes tapping away on her keyboard. She still hasn't touched the keyring. She'll probably do what I did when Marius asked me the same favor, throw it in the trash. I was deluding myself thinking this trip would make me feel better, as if delivering this small token would relieve me of my guilt. Adam Birch may have been arrested without me, but I've sealed his fate. I cannot ignore this and do nothing, like last time. I cannot let the wrong person take the blame. Could we also have a moment to speak with Roger Lippman, I asked. Is he in? You need an appointment, the woman said, eyes on her keyboard. She didn't say he wasn't here. 5 minutes, please. A sigh. Because I'm in a good mood, you can have 3. She shouts back toward the office and waves us through. I tell Marius what's going on and whisper to Elliot this will only take a few minutes. We find Lippman at a desk, smothering an armless office chair. A loose blue tie circles his neck. Excuse me, I say. Sorry to bother you. I dropped off a small possession at the receptionist. We were hoping you would deliver it to your client, Adam Birch. It means a lot to him. It's a photo of his daughter. What's going on? Lippman pushes back from his desk. I can't come right out and ask him what I can do to assist the defense. He'll question my personal connection to his client, and I can hardly say that I was the interpreter for his alibi interview. I'm an interpreter, and this is my client. His name is Marius Dorabek. He asked me to accompany him here today because he'd like to speak to you about the case. I can feel my cheeks flush. Is Lippman looking at Marius and wondering how it is he can afford to pay me? How are you today? Lippman says to Elliot. My boy ducks his head down and wraps himself around my middle. Sometimes he's shy, I say. The solicitor nods and collects 4 chairs from unattended desks and wheels them to the far corner of the room. We sit in a rough circle. I think it's fair to assume that Lippman doesn't speak any Polish, so I whisper to Marius in his language. Go ahead, what do you want me to tell him? Say I want to help, Marius says. Police obviously don't believe me when I said Adam was with me that night, so what else can I do? He's my friend, there must be something. I repeated in English for Lippman and explained that Marius was Adam's alibi. Lippman blows a cloud of air from his nose. Look, it happens. Alibis without hard evidence don't always hold up. He pauses for me to repeat it into Polish for Marius. As Adam Birch's defense lawyer, Lippman would have received from police a copy of Marius's alibi statement. If he's read it, he would know that Marius contradicted some of the details in his client's statement. My eyes go toward a pile of papers on Lippman's desk, to the bloated and ancient filing cabinets against the wall, and the desktop computers that needed replacing in 2010. He's swamped with cases, that much is clear. I bet he hasn't read it yet. What can he do, I say, to help his friend? I don't think there's anything he can do. If I need something, I'll get in touch. What would constitute an alibi with hard evidence, I ask. Elliot is spinning on his chair, and I reach out a hand to steady it. CCTV that shows his whereabouts, GPS data, mobile phone records. Is there any CCTV near your spot in the tunnel? Would there be any chance Adam was recorded on the night of the murder? I ask Marius in Polish. Lippman interrupts. But we're not going to pull up any CCTV at this point. Anyone can do a Freedom of Information request, but footage is typically only kept 30 days. The murder was 5 weeks ago. Alibi-wise, it's no help now. Can he be re-interviewed by police? He's concerned that he didn't come across as reliable during the interview because he was speaking through me. Interviews are difficult with an interpreter. Look, alibis are never very strong when they come from a friend or family member anyway. Ideally, they are someone without an existing relationship to the accused. Now, I need to prepare for the court appearance, but thank him for coming in. Lippman wobbles his chair back toward his desk. Wait, I say. He really wants to help. There must be something he can do to assist. Aren't you supposed to be doing your own investigation, challenging the evidence the police have against Adam? The solicitor kicks the brake on his chair and turns to face me. His eyes rake my skin. Did he really just say all of that to you in Polish? Acid ravages the back of my throat. I'm just the interpreter, I remind myself. I must appear personally unconcerned about Adam in the case. At the very least, Lippman could pull me up for continuing with the interpreting job, even when I realize that it concerned Sandra, somebody known to me. I move Elliot's chair closer to mine. Marius said that to me in the car on the way here, I say. I am just doing my job. And me too. Thank him for coming in to see me, won't you? Lippman's hands go to his hips. Marius mumbles complaint that he knew the solicitor wouldn't take him seriously, and I seize the opportunity to pretend to translate his words. I can't leave here today without at least one idea as to how I can help Adam. He wants me to stress again that he feels to blame for his friend's situation, I say to Lippman, because he was the alibi police didn't believe. Adam Birch is in Belmarsh prison, alongside convicted serial murders and terrorist bombers. I need to undo what I did, or else he'll never get out. Like I said, an alibi defense can be weak at the best of times. Sure, it would have helped if Adam was cited by a reliable witness, a stranger. Tell him it isn't his fault. Lippman gestures for me to relinquish our chairs. Thanks again for coming, he says, with no attempt to hide his insincerity. There must be something we can do. This is dangerous, very dangerous. But the words are out now, and I can't reel them back in. Lippman must be sensing I'm personally interested in Adam's case. What I mean is, Marius wants to know what evidence the police have against his friend. If he knows the extent of what they have, then maybe he can identify a way to help. They have his DNA, Lippman says. Yes, I know, but what else? Lippman must be aware of the details that haven't been made public. Adam was arrested for begging earlier in the year. It's a recordable offense. An offense where police can force you to provide DNA to add to their database. That's what happened to Adam, and they matched it to what was collected at the scene. So that's how the police had Adam's DNA on their database, because being homeless is practically a crime. Because of the facts of the case, the alleged victim was pushed down the stairs after a struggle. We might get the charge down to manslaughter. And if he's found guilty, we have strong mitigating factors for sentencing. He has fairly severe asthma. He's been in and out of the hospital a lot. I repeat in Polish for Marius. Adam's ill, he agrees. That's why he's homeless. Because of his health, he couldn't work. His marriage broke down. Then he's living on the streets. If he's convicted because of me, Adam Birch will most certainly die in prison. Lippman has a resigned look on his face. He thinks Adam is innocent, but he doesn't seem confident that he can win the case. I cast my eyes around the decrepit office again. I doubt the solicitor is capable of winning any case. I go to translate Marius' words for Lippman, but he cuts me off. As I said, I need to go to work. Look, something might come up in our favor. A few days ago, police located the bag that Adam Birch is allegedly carrying in the CCTV taken from Knightsbridge Street. His DNA was not detected on the bag. Adam Birch's DNA is on the alleged victim's body, but not on the bag he's seen carrying. So what does that mean? That isn't Adam Birch on the CCTV? Lippman stays coy. That's what I'll be arguing. He passes us back over to the receptionist who shows us out. Police don't have CCTV placing Adam on the Aris street on the day of the murder. They have a neighbor eyewitness who says she saw him hanging around, but she probably saw a different homeless man, whoever it is on the CCTV footage. It seems as though Sandra's murderer is an excuse for the heiress's neighbor to launch a vendetta against the local homeless population. The prosecution will have Adam's DNA on the body, his past conviction, and his known connection to the area. They have his broken alibi thanks to me. I still have a bad feeling about the heiress, but I don't know what I can do about it. Back on the high street, thank you for being patient, I tell Elliot. You were so good in there. We're just going to take this man home, and then you and I will go for lunch. I rub Elliot's back and he nods. Home. I said we were going to take Marius home. I scrape the nail of my right hand over my scalp. How can I just dump him back on the street and go back to our flat and pack for our move and get on with my life? Not after everything I've done. Alright, and here is our friend from the prologue again. Everything I know about the dark web I took from a BBC Two documentary. I learned that you can use it to buy credit card numbers, drugs, guns, counterfeit money, stolen subscriptions, credentials, criminals for hire, forged documents, software to break into computers, and even human beings. I saw that you could navigate your cursor to Heaven and Hell Market and pay someone to do just about anything you want. I arranged a VPN and downloaded the Tor browser. Money isn't a problem for me. The rest of it was really quite easy. I used a credit card in the name of one of the family's shell companies registered in the Cayman Islands. It probably wasn't necessary. I realize as I say this now, I don't actually mind if I'm caught. I'm checking my phone as I walk, and on my phone is your email account. Apparently the installed malware rises your phone's core temperature, and you might realize that even when idle, it's much warmer than usual. If you have noticed, you don't seem to recognize it as a symptom of being hacked. I swipe through your phone messages, WhatsApp, emails, everything is in order. I've seen enough for today, I decide, and close it down. I went into his room this morning while my sister was out. When I went next door to the playroom and switched on the train set and watched the carriage pull into the miniature Paddington station. He'll be too old for it soon. He'll be wanting to play violent computer games, and he'll think he's too big for anything wholesome and soft. You've robbed me of time, and theft is the one crime I never imagined would affect me. I can't get back what I've lost, but I can take everything away from you. I access your calendar and scroll through your appointments once more. It's almost time. Chapter 22. I order an Uber and insist Marius let me take him for a meal. Marius is going to come with us to lunch, I tell Elliot. My son seems comfortable enough around him, and a decent meal is the absolute least I can do. Marius has most of his possessions with him. On the streets, most people live like turtles, he explains. They carry their homes, everything they own, stored on their person at all times, or else expect to find it stolen. We go to a Polish restaurant near Belize Park, somewhere nice. Our Uber passes chained pasta joints and greasy spoons that Marius says are fine, but I don't want him to feel that I think any food is good enough for him, that he should be grateful to have any kind of meal at all. I came to this restaurant once several years ago with some clients while interpreting for a Polish trade conference. Now that we're here, I fear I may have taken things too far the other way. The entrees average 30 pounds. The menu is Polish fusion with hyphenated ingredients I can't pronounce. Is Elliot going to like any of this food? And how am I going to pay for it? I picture my next credit card bill, the balance maxed out, but I can't back out of this now. The maitre d' directs us to an opulent round table by the side window, eyeing Marius with suspicion. Am I embarrassing him? There's a whiff of leprosy about the gulf between our table and the nearest neighbor. I really can't afford this, but now we've sat down, I feel like there's nothing I can do. I glance around the room and feel swollen and obvious. Miso in Zurich soup, Marius says, eyeing the menu. It's not traditional, but I'll give it a go. Do you cook? I ask. What a stupid thing to say. He doesn't have a home at the moment, let alone access to a kitchen. I trained as a pastry chef in Warsaw. Doing construction in London for a year, I was supposed to raise money for me to open my own restaurant. I try not to appear surprised, then silently chastise myself. Of course he is a person with plans and ambitions for his life. We place our order, and for the next hour we talk about food. Marius tells me about the Perniki cookies from his hometown, delicate and spicy. The cookies are traditionally shaped as moons and stars, but at his local bakery their signature shape was Copernicus's silhouette. He shares his own recipe for Polish honey cake with plum butter, sugared orange peel ice cream, and poppy seed pancakes. I enjoy the conversation so much that I forget why we're here. I think about Doreen, the first seeds of our friendship, the day of the social services interpreting job, us in the cafe across the road. Marius asks about my life, and I answer as me because I am not the interpreter right now. I remind myself not to get too comfortable. This is not a lovely long lunch with a colleague or friend. This is for Marius, not for me. I don't deserve his company. I steer the conversation back to why we're here. So Lippman is going to argue that it's not Adam on CCTV taken from the street, as his DNA wasn't on the bag, I say. That's not him on the CCTV, Marius says. I believe you. I think the only other thing that can be done to help your friend is for another alibi to come forward. A stranger, as Lippman says, someone credible because they have no relationship with Adam. I must be careful with how I phrase things. This man needs to think I'm a good Samaritan and nothing more. He cannot start to question why a virtual stranger would be so concerned with his friend's case. Are there any other homeless people based in the area who we could approach? He shakes his head. There was only Adam and me in the tunnel. Now it's only me. Sure, there are others who live close by, but no one who could vouch for Adam that day. All right, so pass her by then. Thousands of people must go through that walkway each day on their way to and from the train station. Marius takes a mouthful of rose-hip tea. People don't look at people living on the street. They can't look away fast enough. Who's going to remember whether they saw 2 men sitting on the ground that night or 1? Or 3? We can get data from Transport for London. They can tell us who exited and entered the subway at that time, and we can contact them. Someone must have seen, will have really looked and noticed you as they passed. They'd give us that information? His question is hopeful and sincere, but my plan is desperate and unfeasible, and we both know it. I stuff my mouth with a piece of fatty meat. You're right. Transport for London won't hand over data about who went in and out of the train that night, but we can do our own public appeal. Those signs calling for witnesses that police put out in front of subway stations after a crime has been committed, we'll do one of those, place it near your spot in the walkway. Someone will remember seeing you both. We can put my cell phone number on there. It can't hurt to try, see if anyone comes forward. I can see that Marius is skeptical about my idea, but he's trying to show enthusiasm. All it would take is one person, I say, a stranger walking past, and there'd be another independent alibi. If I can produce another alibi for Adam Birch, then surely along with the revelation about the CCTV and the man with the bag, police will be forced to reopen the case. We finish lunch, and I grit my teeth as the waiter takes my credit card to pay. I find another Uber. Marius goes back to the walkway, and Elliot and I go home. I print out a sign calling for witnesses and attach it to the sturdiest cardboard I have. Tomorrow I'll go back to the tunnel and pin it up, and I don't know what else I'm going to do about Adam Birch. Perhaps the prosecution's case against Adam will grow weaker and weaker, and he'll be found innocent despite what I've done. But how long is it likely to take? Interpreted on murder trials where the crime took place as much as 2 years prior to the court date. That could be 2 years of Adam's life in jail. I need to somehow get him out, now. Online, I look for updates on the Aloud sexual assault case. Has the Crown Prosecution Service charged him yet for assaulting the other 3 women who came forward? No, it looks like the investigation is still ongoing. I need to know that I've done a positive impact on one case, that my misinterpreting helped to get justice for one person who deserved it. All of this had to be for something. I have to get ready for our move on Wednesday. I place Elliot's things into a box, and when he goes to bed, I start packing up the rest of our flat. Long before minimalism became fashionable, I learned to travel light, and for years, with my mother, ensured that I could carry everything I owned in only 2 suitcases. Over the last few years, I've allowed myself to accumulate, and now, really for the first time in my life, I have excess. Shoes and items of clothing I rarely wear, shoulder bags that still have tags on. When I get to the end of my closet, I find that I filled 2 large boxes with my clothes alone. I'm not going to take all this with me, I decide. I sit cross-legged on the floor of my bedroom and dig through the first box. There's a bottle green carry-all I really like, red boots and my size. I couldn't believe my luck finding last year in a charity shop. Nice clothes and accessories that aren't appropriate for court. Why did I ever think I deserved these things? That I should have anything nice at all? Adam Birch is in prison wearing whatever it is they make inmates wear, and I have a pile of clothes and hats and scarves I can't even remember using last. I empty both boxes, tip it all into a mound on the carpet. I rifle through the pile, my hands in a frenzy, sorting out my work clothes from everything else. The everything else is the majority. I fold it all neatly and manage to get it into one box. In thick black pen, I write charity shop and seal it up. Black ink has leaked onto my fingers, branding me. Elliot, I say the next morning, I'm sorry that today is going to be quite busy. We need to collect the keys for our new flat, and I also have to make a trip to central London. I have to quickly see that man, Marius, who we met yesterday. What about school? He asks. It's school holidays, remember? We'll do some fun things this week too, I promise. I want him to enjoy this week, and I need to tell him that he's not going back to his old school. We take the train to the estate agent's office where I sign the paperwork and collect our keys. On our way to central London, Elliot plays a game on my phone while I hold the cardboard sign rolled up tight. We alight at Knightsbridge, and I am relieved to see that Marius isn't there in the walkway. Some of me is eaten away each time I see him, and every time I think about Adam Birch, I worry that soon there might be nothing left. I pin the sign to the wall near to his possessions and make a mental note to check by in a few days to make sure no one has removed it. The rest of the day is a flurry of packing, and I manage a few hours sleep before the movers arrive the next morning at 8 a.m. I've always lived in furnished flats in London, so the job is done swiftly, Elliot's bed being the only large item that belongs to me. We take an Uber and follow the van ferrying our boxes. As we drive, I keep my eyes peeled to the street, looking for things that could form part of our new life. We pass clay tennis courts, a library, a supermarket that I think will be walking distance. Inside our new flat, I have the movers stack our boxes against the back wall of the living room, and I give the place a vacuum before I start to unpack. Here we are, living in Wembley. I've not changed my address on the electrical roll, informed the NHS, my bank, Exia, or anyone. Only Elliot's new school has our details. It feels simultaneously safe and terribly lonely that no one really knows we're here. Our new building is an ex-council tower with upward of 100 flats. It has a secure external door with a buzzer. Our flat has a balcony, but we are on the 11th floor, so only Spider-Man would have the ability to break in this way. There's a double deadlock on our front door. We're going to be okay here. Did you see the park down by the end of the street? I asked Elliot when we drove past. I wasn't looking. Can we play football there? I'd say it's big enough for us to kick the ball around. It looked to be a bare little park, but it's better than nothing. I open up the balcony door and walk out to peer over the edge. A ginger cat is patrolling the ground, and after Elliot sees it, we go downstairs to say hello. I seem to remember you wanting pizza earlier, I say to Elliot. Yes, please. We pass a Domino's in the car. After the rush of the last couple of days, I can't face cooking. At some point in the evening, I fall asleep in front of the television of our new brown faux leather sofa. A notification on my phone wakes me. It's Facebook Messenger. Hi, yes, it's me. Doreen has written back. I lean on my elbows and push myself up to sitting. I read the message again. Those 4 short words are enough for a dopamine spike. This doesn't mean she's back in your life, I tell myself. We're not friends again because I'm not worthy. It's time to tell Doreen Sanderson what I did to her. And that's the end of chapter 22. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to keep up to date with all the things that are going on with Ravel and Elliot and to see who our mystery character is. If you have any thoughts on what might be about to be going down, put it in the comments. I'd love to hear your theories. Thank you for being here, and we'll catch you guys on the flip side.